We're looking at multiplying complex numbers today, and notice, or if you recall, with complex numbers, they are in the form a plus bi, where a is the real part and bi is the imaginary part. In this case, we are multiplying two complex numbers, and there's a couple ways we can do that. We can use what's called the FOIL method, or we can use the window method. I'm going to actually use the window method today. And so I'm going to draw a box with 4 squares in it. Looks like a window. That's why it's called the window method. And I'm going to take the first complex number here, and I'm going to put it on the side, 3, and then 6i. And then I'm going to take the second complex number, write it across the top, 4. And if it has a sign, a minus sign, I include the sign. If it does not, then I do not include the sign. All right, now this is much like a Punnett square that you use in science. So now you multiply 3 times 4, and this goes here, it's 12. And then you multiply this row times this column, it goes here, so 3 times a negative I is a negative 3i. Then you come down to the next row, and you're going to multiply 6i times 4, gives me 24i. And then I'm going to multiply 6i times negative I. Take care of the signs. I have a positive times a negative gives me a negative 6. And then I times I gives me I squared. Now I combine the like terms, and notice on the diagonal I have like terms. So I'm going to pull the items out that I have. So I have 12, I have a minus 3i, a plus 24i, and then a minus 6i squared. Now notice the two middle terms, minus 3i and plus 24i, I can combine. So I have 12, and then minus 3i plus 24i gives me a positive 21i. And I still have this negative 6i squared. Now I need to deal with the I squared. Well, the definition for I, and this is the basis for the complex or the imaginary numbers, is I is equal to the square root of negative 1. So if I take I and square it, then that's the same thing as saying the square root of negative 1 squared. Notice the square eliminates the square root, so that's equal actually to just negative 1. So I'm going to come back down here and substitute that in. So I'm going to have 12 plus 21i minus 6 times a negative 1. So I'll substitute in the negative 1 for the I squared. Simplify one more time. So I have 12 plus 21i. And a negative 6 times a negative 1 gives me a positive 6. Now I have another real number. So I'm going to combine this real number with this real number. So it's going to be 12 plus 6, which gives me 18 plus 21i.